TraderXO on, but it's good to have him on now. This is a very unscripted podcast type episode that we're doing today. So we're going to be talking everything crypto, everything that pertains to you, whether it's Bitcoin, price action, short-term price action, long-term price action. We'll talk a little bit about altcoins as well. And more importantly, this gives you an opportunity to ask TraderXO a question. I know a lot of you guys, comment under his tweets. Oh, yeah, there we go. My bad. Excuse me for that. Sorry for that. So this is a good opportunity for you guys to ask him questions. I know a lot of you guys comment under his YouTube channel, comment under his tweets, and not a lot of the questions really get through. So today might be your opportunity. So get your comments in. Try and get some good questions in, questions that relate to trading, relate to crypto. Let's utilize the time that we have with XO because it's valuable. He comes on once in a blue moon, and we are very lucky and grateful to have him on. Smash a like on the video, and I'll bring TraderXO on now. TraderXO, my brother, how are you doing, man?
NJ, what's happening, bro? You good?
Yeah, all good, bro. All good. For a second, I thought you weren't gonna come up there for a second, but
It's all right.
it all worked out. Thank you very much for joining the show. It's been a while since we've had you. It's really, really good to have you on. How have you been?
Thank you, bro. Thank you for the red carpet introduction. Being good, man. Just you know how I've been behind the scenes, just busy in personal life, in real life, just busy with a few responsibilities. But I'm good. I'm good, man. Really excited. I think looking at how the market is shaping up, I'm generally excited as a buyer over the next 6 to 12 months. I think there's going to be some really good opportunities, and I think we're going to see some fireworks heading into the second half of, well, we're already in the second half of the year, but I think in the latter parts of this year, we could see some real fireworks, probably some more pain for those who hopeful or optimistic of this being a bull market rally. I'm not convinced it is. I think this is just all a phase that we're going through in terms of macro accumulation, range bound environments, and hopefully with that in the next 3 to 6 months comes plenty of good buying opportunities. So tired of being bearish, but we're almost there. Final hurdle.
I 100% agree. Everyone in the chat, me and XO were talking a couple of minutes just before the stream went live, and there was something that I said to XO. I said, it feels how it felt before, towards that end of 2019 area. It feels kind of how it felt then. I'm not sure if you agree or not. Maybe you can give us some insight into how it feels for you. But I feel like we are closer to the bull market than we are to the top of the previous bear market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree to a large extent, NJ, with what you said, and I've really been thinking about 2019, and I've made a few references to 2019 on my timeline, on my streams as well. For those who weren't around in 2019, NJ, you were, I remember when you were working, you kind of lost interest in the market at one point, if you recall, when altcoins weren't really doing anything. Anytime there was a move on an altcoin, everybody got excited about 10, 20% moves, right? But the problem was that none of it really was sustainable. It was just a trader's market. Anybody who bought in 2019 got obliterated later down, over the following months. So I'm seeing pretty much more or less the same shit happening out there. Because if you look across the board, since January or February, we had a decent rally on large caps, optimism, Aptos, all did really well, but it wasn't sustainable. It was just an aggressive 6-week rally. And then before you know it, we've just had months and months and months and months of down, slow, bleeding price action with the odd short squeeze, which everybody gets excited about. And it's not characteristic of a bull market. There's no new money flowing in as such. And even across the board, you're not seeing alts collectively rally like you would in a bull market. So that tells you, one, it's a trader's market. Two, volatility on certain alts are just crushed. Three, if you look at some of these charts out there, they're absolutely annihilated, right? But anybody who's been buying the dips on some of these alts must be underwater. There's no way that the majority have bought the dips. And like somebody mentioned on the timeline earlier today, that Bitcoin, if it's going to 100K, then 29K must be a brilliant buying opportunity. Why don't we all just jump in right now? So, why are we stalling at 29K is ultimately the question. So long story short, I think there's just a little bit more further pain, but that's not to be bearish. I think it's like this. When Christmas time comes, we all get excited. Well, I assume we all get excited for the Christmas sales, Boxing Day sales. Why is it that we wait 2-3 weeks before we go shopping? Because we don't want to pay premium prices. We want to pay discounted prices. That's kind of how I view the market right now. Over the next 3 to 6, maybe 9 months, hopefully we see significantly lower prices on our altcoins. Bitcoin could maybe go back down to 20K, 18K. Why can't it? That's not to say that it can't go high in the short term, but in the long term, if there is an opportunity, then one has to think about starting to dollar cost averaging and buying into those opportunities, given the fact that we could very much well be heading into recession. Soft landing or not, I think we're still going to see the likely event of a recession playing out at this moment in time, as the way things stand.
Thank you very much. That was it was so good listening to all of that. I feel like every time you come on the stream or SC, I always feel like I'm part of the comments and not the host, and I sometimes forget that I'm actually hosting the show. So thank you for that. But you know what? I really, really want to dig into this altcoin thing because one thing I've learned very recently is that the communities that we operate with. So for those of you who don't know, me and XO have been in the game for 6-7 years now. It's been years since we've been into cryptocurrency, bro. But the communities that we have now that are active, that are learning about crypto and that are learning about Bitcoin and altcoins, they're actually relatively new. They learn about altcoins predominantly in 2021. We don't actually have a lot of people who are in crypto now in our communities that are from 2015, 2017. They've sort of all gone and made it. So what I see often on these streams and on these spaces is people talk about altcoins and people talk about bull markets, but no one ever really explains what an altcoin surging bull market looks like. In your experience, bro, could you give some of these people here an example of what an altcoin surging bull run looks like? And to give you some context to that question, for example, I can say Bitcoin has only 2x'd in 7, nearly 8 months. In a bull market, I know that in 8 months, Bitcoin can do a 10x. What does that look like in returns for altcoins?
I think the problem is with, and this is only based on previous experience and previous cycles, right? Is that everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but many people will position into altcoins because they give up on the hope of buying Bitcoin because they know they got. Look, if you got $5,000 or even $1,000 and you buy Bitcoin, what good is that to you? Because at best, if Bitcoin goes from 20K to 100K, your account is up to 5.5, 6 grand, maybe, right? What good is that to you? It's pointless. So there's a case where a lot of people start positioning into altcoins, hoping for the next bull run. But the problem with that is that of all the times that I've traded this market, and this now next cycle will be my third bull market cycle, right? I've been in 2 bear market cycles. I've been in 2 bull market cycles now. If you look at history, what does it tell you? It tells you that Bitcoin first takes off. And when Bitcoin takes off, Bitcoin dominance rises. Alts get absolutely obliterated. The only saving grace for alts is the USDT valuation of alts. Now, you recall this, NJ, back in 2017-18, we never had USDT pairs on altcoins. It was always alts against Bitcoin. 1 minute, right? I remember this. I think in 2017, 6 months into crypto, I started off with like 5 Bitcoin. Back then, Bitcoin cost me $1,200. You remember when we caught Neo in summer? We caught BNB with you know who, right? I recall watching my account go from 5 Bitcoin to something like 25, 30 Bitcoin in the space of 3 months. That was the summer of 2017. So now that you get a taste of altcoins, you think, yeah, I'm just going to hold altcoins. Fuck Bitcoin. I want to get to 100 Bitcoins. But what happens, and what did happen, is that when we got a correction in Bitcoin, altcoins bled lower down. So now I'm watching my portfolio go from 30 Bitcoins to 20 Bitcoins, right? Because back then we measured our our portfolios against the BTC pair. We never really give a shit about the price or the valuation of the portfolio. But then the worst thing was, right? Come November, Bitcoin went on an absolute tear. Neo, Amicio, Stratus, what else was there? Verge,
Lisk, one chain, sorry, Walton
Cardano,
chain.
yeah. Everything got obliterated. And before I knew it, bro, I had like 30 Bitcoin at the highs in summer of 2017, having entered having bought Bitcoin in 2016, bought more in 2017. I met you in 2017, summer of 2017, right? Went from 30, 35 Bitcoin. By the end of November, when Bitcoin was at all-time highs, I kind of puked my alts at the lows and thought, fuck it, I'm just going to go back into Bitcoin. This could go to 30, 40, 50K. And when that happened, that 30 Bitcoin eventually went down to 6, 7 Bitcoin, you know? So the saving grace for me was right. I got smashed on my Bitcoin account. I'm literally back to where I was. If I should have just held Bitcoin. If I bought 5, 6 Bitcoin in 2017, why the fuck did I not? Why didn't I just hold it? It would have been easier to have just held it instead of getting into altcoins, making a shit ton of Bitcoin, and then losing it all. So the point I'm trying to make is when Bitcoin takes off, um, alts get left behind. Yes, the alt USDT pair will rise as a result of Bitcoin rising, but ultimately you're looking for the rotation from Bitcoin. Once Bitcoin goes on its surging rally and it consolidates and slows down, you can see that capital rotation into altcoins. That is when you get bullish on altcoins. And like I said, NJ, if you remember 2020, what did I say to you? That NJ, I've been sat in cash since 2019. I'm waiting for the bull market and altcoins, and I didn't quite capitalize on the Bitcoin rally in 2020 when it took off from September at 10K when Sailor was buying and it went to 20, 30K. I didn't quite capitalize on that, if I'm honest with you. But what I said to myself, all right, fine. I'm a bit deflated because I've missed, a good chunk of the Bitcoin rally. But I know, and right, that there's money, serious money to made in the altcoin market. And those 20, 30, 40 X's, I can tell you on one hand, the number of 20 X's that we had, right, that we shared and we talked about. TVK was one. It got listed at 4 cents. I talked aggressively about TVK. It went to $1.20.
Just to interject quickly there, I don't want to interrupt your train of thought, but TVK was actually a 120x play. When we called it, I think it was at maybe 1-2 million market cap, and that's another subject for just in a moment anyway. But it was actually like a 100x play. But please continue.
Yeah, and there's always these opportunities. Lena was another one that I called, which
You smashed that. I think you got a good 25-30x off that publicly.
Yeah, easily.
Publicly, yeah.
Publicly, easily on the exchange. Anybody could have bought it with me. Another one was, I think it was the Poker Starter. That was at 14, 15 cents when I was talking about it in November 2020, literally at the bottom.
You
And
literally called the
yeah.
bottom on Polka Starter, and you see, this is the thing. Now, this is what I want the people with us to understand, because it's really good listening to the story and understanding and getting inspired from it. But what I want these guys to understand in the chat is more so, what was it that drove you to buy Polka Starter? What was happening during that time that made you think, okay, it might be a good idea to purchase tokens that have a specific utility, maybe a utility that matches a narrative at the time. Now, we know, everybody in the chat knows especially, that crypto is a narrative based game. Every month there's going to be something new that's innovating the space. Would you agree, TraderXO?
Yeah, I would. And I'll be honest with you, it's in this space you have to connect the dots. There's one thing you should not do, is try to overcomplicate matters. In the crypto space, you just need to be one step ahead of the crowd and be proactive, right? When you're reactive, this is when you start chasing coins and start going into positions that others have already loaded upon. And then you'll see them shill it on their timeline, like, yeah, buy this and buy that at resistance. Of course, they want price to go higher, but they're making significantly more multiples than you ever will, because your cost basis is at a higher price. So, the altcoin market is largely still very, it's in its evolution. It's forever changing, right? Now,
Exactly. What you said there was perfect. It's forever changing, and every month you have something new. So to give you an example, right? Like when we had Polka Starter, it was the moment Polka Starter came out, every single new project that wanted to launch on the market, they wanted to launch through Polka Starter.
Exactly.
And then suddenly we had Paid Network that came out and said, well, hey, what Polka Starter are doing, we're doing the same thing, and we're going to have exclusivity with these new projects that are launching. Along with Paid Network, I think a few other launched. I think DuckDAO was one of them as well.
Yeah.
And that was that entire period of time. We're talking about what, 5-10% of the entirety of the bull run. But that
Yeah.
but
It's
that
it's
narrative was so strong. How many millions did you see people make just from riding that narrative, whether it be 2-3 months? How many millions did we see people make?
it was whether we see something like that ever again remains to be seen. But in the space of 6 months, from January 2021 through to April, May 2021, there was so much money pouring into this market, right? That literally, when a project was touted as being listed on Paid Network or PokerStarter, you could trade it on the DEX, you could buy on the DEX, and 90% of the time, the project would pull a 2 to 5x within a week or two, all day long. I got a fair bit of shit for shilling these because I think in some of these projects I did get into private sales, and back then, nobody ever made a point about, so you've got to write a disclaimer, you've got to put a disclaimer. Yeah, fair enough. I think looking back in hindsight, I think moving forward, if I get into any private sales that I talk about, I'll happily put in a disclaimer. But the point is, and rightly so, is that everything that got listed on the exchanges did a 2 to 5x minimum, literally on the dexes, not on the centralized exchanges. Sometimes you've got to go where the money is, where the money is flying, where money is pumping into, and it was dexes. And I think we'll see the same again. It won't be any different because the ability to list a new coin on a dex is instantaneous. When it gets listed on a centralized exchange much later down the line, that even propels for price further. So it's all well and good buying, planning ahead for coins that are on the market right now and likely what's going to come out. But truly in a bull market, you've got to be switched on. You've got to be researching. You've got to understand on which day is which coin going to release onto what exchange and at what price and what's the market cap value going to be. Is it on a DEX? What's the trading pair? And you've got to be in a position to buy the dip because that will get sent for a 2, 3, 4x. You're seeing 20, 30% moves right now. In a bull market, you're going to see 100, 200% in a matter of weeks on these coins, and then on to the next one, and then on to the next one. It's not a case about becoming an investor. It's a case of making as much money in the shortest amount of time that you've got and getting out with your money without giving significant portions back to the market. That's ultimately the game. Fuck the narratives, fuck the tech, right? Chainlink is a classic example. Brilliant technology. Oracle, price feed, one of the best techs out there.
Yeah.
I do not give a fuck about the coin. The coin is, in my opinion, yeah, you can stake it, fair enough. What's the coin got to do with the tech? The tech can still exist without the coin, right? The coin is just there for, it helped with raising capital, it helped with raising funds, and now it's a tradable digital asset. I wouldn't call it a commodity. But Chainlink can exist without the coin if it truly wanted to. So you've got to disconnect between, this is great tech. Nobody gives a shit about the tech in the bear market. In a bull market, it matters. Narratives matter. That's all that I cared about. And that's where I want to make my money. So talking about narratives now, we look at things like Arbitrum, Optimism, Layer Zero. These are all L2 solutions that are coming out as a way to circumvent some of the bottlenecks on Ethereum. Again, you look at the total value locked. If you go to DeFi Llama, this is where I'm spending a lot of my time now doing research. Which projects or which tokens or which ecosystems out there have got a good chunk of total value locked in the DeFi space, which could be a very good fundamental driver of price for these projects in the next cycle. So the research starts now. Now is not the time to trade as far as I'm concerned. I'm a hardcore trader. I've been saying to NJ, now is not the time for me to short the market. I've finished doing my business. There's maybe 1 or 2, 3 coins that I'll short, Matic, OP, and maybe Injective. Everything else I look at, and maybe I should share my chart, but everything else I look at, NJ, if you want to just share the chart for me.
Yeah, definitely. If you're enjoying the show, please smash a like on the channel. Please smash a like on the video.
So when you look at this, and I just share this on the timeline, this is a classic market cycle. I've been shorting the market since complacency, right? November 2021, all the way through 2022. This whole area here is all this. And I do generally believe that, look, if shit hits the fan and we do head up into that recession-like environment over the next 6 months, that's going to be your depression phase down here. This, right, although I'm not looking to buy Aave, I'm looking at it as being one of the biggest players in the DeFi market as a benchmark to understand that, okay, if this is the bottom on Aave here, and then it starts trending up, That for me should mark the bottom of the market on DeFi coins. So now you can start thinking about, well, Aave is a big cap. Do I want to buy Aave? Maybe, maybe not. But let me look at a competitor that's a lower market cap that has more higher potential. So basically, you're trying to identify the beta version of Aave. So then you can look at synthetics, for example. What's SNX doing? Look at this chart. Again, I've mapped it out. You're looking for that capitulation depression phase here, just like we saw on Aave over here. That's what I'm looking for. And I don't think we're too far away from it, in all honesty. And for that reason, like I said, right, people assume, XO's bearish is always short in the market. I finished short in the market. There really isn't anything else left for me to short. I'm now looking at this, right? And I'm thinking to myself, all right, look, we've been here for 1 year now in this range. This is what I call macro accumulation. Where I want to be a buyer is very simple. At these lows here. Okay, this is where you want to do your business, because your cost basis is as close as it can be to these lows here. Give me a capitulation and a reclaim back inside. Let's talk about being bullish, okay? Because at that point, when you see something like this, 50 cents, $1, wherever the low is, that to me should mark the bottom. We're going to go back to the range high if the project remains fundamentally sound. And before you know it, the trend that was going down, it's now range bound. We've had one, two, three taps of the low with a deviation if it happens. There's your triple tap accumulation. This has been in a 1 year range, nearly 2 years if it gets as far as this. Okay, we don't know how long it's going to take. But ultimately, as a buyer, I don't want to buy this because this is the early stages of accumulation. I don't want to buy this because this is the mid stage of accumulation. As somebody who wants to be efficient with my capital, wants to buy the tail side of accumulation because I'm not having to wait as much. I'm not having to lock up funds. Buying here in anticipation that price will go back to $3, $4 immediately. That's from $1 to $4. There's your 3x. Now you might get a pullback. You can hedge with a short here, leave your spot exposure, close your short if it bounces. Then you get the bull market. And that's when you make the 4, 5, 10, 15, 20x's. Okay. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And that's why I'm really excited about what lays ahead in the very near future. Near future being the next 3 to 6 to 9 months. So, if you think about
would you mind if I just add something very small there?
Sure.
It's just for the chat, and I'm so sorry, just because you've picked SNX. We were talking about Polka Starter a moment ago, right?
Yeah.
I think if I'm correct, I might be wrong, but I think the narrative that came straight after the launch pads was the synthetics, wasn't it?
It was synthetics,
It was
DeFi,
it was
synthetic coins.
synthetics. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, it's one for the chat. So as XO is explaining the accumulation phase and how to trade it and make money from it, at the same time, it goes back to what we were saying a moment ago with the whole narrative concept. You've got to be researching and you've got to be active, really involved in the crypto space to see what the narratives are at the time. And then once you've got coins that are liquid enough and coins that are trading in the right places, you can then start applying this type of strategy to it. Sorry, XO. Sorry, it's just I saw SNX and I thought, wow.
No, absolutely, Andrew. So that's kind of my thoughts on the altcoin market. Essentially, now, when I think about, there's a lot of questions on Solana. I do want to have an exposure to a high cap, and for me, the high cap of choice for me is going to be Solana. Again, I'll probably get a lot of shit because yes, this could go higher short term, but for me, this is still all within a macro range. Again, when you map this out here, there's a range highs, there's a range lows. This to me, ultimately, is still a range bound price action. It's not a bull market. But if, again, keyword if, and I think there's a good probability that it will eventually come back down to this level, okay? Taking out somewhere near these lows here, if we can take these out and retest this zone here, that to me, it could take 6 months, right? I don't know what's going to happen. We may get one more move back above here into these highs, and then we might come back down again, okay? This here is where I want to buy. Not this as a trader, but as a spot investor, as a spot buyer, I want to be buying that 8 to 12 to 13 to $14 level in anticipation that this will eventually go back to $100. Okay. And that's not unrealistic. That's fairly probable. That's fairly realistic. I've used comparisons of if you look at this chart here, NG, right? If I split this in two, now if you can tell me, right, what was good about Neo in 2021, nothing. There was no fundamental narrative, but yet, can you tell me why Neo? Okay, in a similar way, if you look at the weekly chart, there's a Neo chart from 2018 highs. There's Solana 2021 highs, comes all the way down. What did Neo do? Very similarly, right, to Solana, just does nothing, goes sideways in a range. The first impulsive well, what people assume to be a bull market, it isn't. Comes all the way back down to the range lows. It retested the range lows 3 times. Solana has probably, you could say, maybe once. Neo, in this instance, tested this level once, twice, 3 times before you saw the bull market.
Really, the
No,
chart looks so similar as well. It's a
it
very
is.
good fractal that we're using here. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at this consolidation here, this is July, August, September, October 2022. This was August all the way through to November 2018. Then it gets a breakdown. That's people puking. Then you get the grind up. You're going to get the grind back down. This is what you want to see. Then when you overlay the moving averages on this, right, you'll see the compression of the bands. And once the moving averages give a golden cross and price trades higher and starts printing bullish market structure, well, guess what? You are now in the new phase of the bull market where you get higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. And eventually, once it breaks out of this range, okay, with volume and not just on its own, but collectively across the board, altcoins are rallying. You know you're in the early phases of the bull market. You want to see that retest or somewhere close to this, as long as it doesn't go inside. Even if it does and it's short-lived, that's fine. But if essentially you see all this selling, this inefficiency, if the fundamentals are half decent, which on something like Solana, it very much is, there's no reason why this can't go back to $100, right? You're looking for these highs minimum, these highs here. Now, if you just focus on this and just run it forward, test the range high, gets above the range high, holds. Okay, you get a bit of a choppy price action back inside. This is October 2020. Consolidation above the mid range. Now it's above the range high again.
Deviation confirmed.
Yep. There's your higher high confirmed. Okay, pull back. Now we start going up. It takes time, but once it goes, it goes.
Wow, look at that. Look at that.
So
See,
again,
that's what bull market looks like to me. If anybody talks to me about bull market, that's what I expect to see when I'm looking at a chart. It's not 10%, 20% moves. It's not, it's 2x in a day, or crypto is crazy like that. I mean, we're going to have crazy saturation going into the next cycle, but coins or tokens or altcoins, whatever we want to call them, they're still going to follow this narrative, and that's what I genuinely believe. I genuinely believe it. So I'm with you on that. But at the same time, these are the high cap altcoins. What about the mid caps, and what about the low caps? Do you have any do you ever look at those, or would you ever consider trading those? Because I know you trade traditional markets, you trade the higher liquid crypto markets, and I think you do that full time. But do you ever at all dabble in the smaller caps?
it's very simple. Am I a trader? What's my primary objective as a trader, NJ?
To make money.
Exactly. I've got no interest in trading global markets, FX, commodities, indices. If I can make a shit ton of money in the crypto space at the right time, at the right place, I don't need to focus on being a trader in any other market. My 110% attention is purely on the crypto space, on altcoins. I don't care about Bitcoin. I don't care about Ethereum. For me, if it's going to go to 10K, great. That's a 10X trade, okay? If I can buy it at 1,000 or 700, 800, $900, I'll buy some Ethereum. Happy days, right? But ultimately, it's about looking for the 10, 15, 20X potentials. And because the bullish sentiment across the board is very good, you can throw shit at a shit coin and it'll become a piece of polished turd, golden piece of turd. You can even do it blindfold because you'd have to be a genius. The problem that people have is understanding when to get out of the market. They get emotionally attached to their bags. They become very vocal and active about how this project solves X, Y, Z, and it's going to lead into adoption. It ain't going to lead into shit. Just make your money, get out. and
Yeah.
you're gonna thank yourselves in 4 years' time when you get to buy the next narrative in the next 4 years at the cycle lows with cash in the bank.
Do you know what? It would be a perfect time actually for we've got a super chat as well. We'll talk about that in a second, but it's a perfect time. We've got enough people here now. I suppose like it's a good time to confess, right? So TraderXO DM'd me in April 2021 and in November 2021. And in November 2021 it was the big one
Yeah.
where he DM'd me and he said get out of the market now. Take profit as much as you can. Keep your risk in check. I was reading this message and I thought, this is a new paradigm. Bitcoin is the new thing now. Like it's too big now. They can't stop it. They can't kill it. Crypto is going to be going up. This is a new wave of bull market. I didn't really give market cycles enough credence, to be honest. And I got hurt a little bit. I managed to get a lot out, but I got hurt quite a bit on the way down. But now at the same time, given that we're going into the next cycle, you never really know if there's going to be a bull market, at the end of a bear market. But as events unfold, as the time goes by, you realize that there might be. We might get some sort of a bullish period of time for crypto, and that's where you've got to capitalize. Now, given that we were talking about narratives, XO, we've got a super chat that's coming here that said, what do you think of the gaming narrative that will come as Alex Becker claims? Now, I know NFTs, gaming, and stuff like that, we don't really talk about those too often. I mean, I have invested in a couple over my time as trader NJ. I am looking at a couple going into next year, but what are your thoughts in terms of as a narrative? Do you think that it's something that's sustainable? Do you think that liquidity could find its way to it within crypto? Do you think that it will make money? I made some good money in the last cycle from gaming, actually, if I'm honest with you.
It's very simple. Will there be a narrative around gaming? Absolutely. Will there be a narrative around NFTs? Absolutely. Will it be sustainable? Probably not. Will the space come out with life-changing games or revolutionary games? Absolutely not. There's gaming studios that do that on PlayStation, on Sega, or on Nintendo, right? But it's all just an idea. It's just a speculation. Look, if teams can raise $5 to $10 million to set up a game studio and have some fun and create some speculative coins, and on the back of it, they get to build these gaming projects where they can make money. Fair play, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's got longevity. Make your money, get out. Simple as that.
Yeah, I suppose what you're saying is really good there. So I think in my language, what XO is saying here is, when the narrative does come into the space, you've got to essentially milk the narrative for as much as you can. But that narrative, just as it's going up, it's going to come back down in the exact same way. Now, the question is, are you going to be the person who's selling the top, or are you going to be the person that's doing that round trip all the way back? And it's actually interesting that you mentioned that, XO, because a lot of accounts on Twitter who they get a lot of negative comments. For example, if you talk about an altcoin that sits at 1 million market cap, 2 million market cap, but you've done your due diligence yourself, you've seen that the market has the coin has great trading volume, it has good liquidity, you think that coin could do a potential 10 20x. You talk about the coin does a 10 20x, the narrative finishes, and then all these people that are left holding that token, because they didn't take any profit due to greed, they come back and blame the people that they found the token from. So narratives, I think, is one of the key takeaways from today's stream. Narratives are very, very important. You'll have narratives in crypto and they'll be forever changing. It's what makes crypto change. For example, like right now, we have Telegram bots. That's the current narrative. Whereas if you spoke to me about Telegram bots 2 years ago at this time, I would have said, what are you talking about? I would ignore that. And I'd say, look, right now, this is what the current narrative is in crypto. It's synthetics. That's what we need to look at. That's what we need to be throwing our dollars into. That's where we need to be applying risk. But even that, the narrative died after a month or so. I think there was quite a few synthetics projects. But I think what we're looking at right now on XO's screen is Arbitrum. Now, before XO says anything, I'm going to say that I'm a big believer of Arbitrum. I think that the narrative for Arbitrum, I think that Arbitrum and potentially Sui are going to be the next big Solana and Matic type coins in the next cycle. But I'd love to hear what you have to say on it, XO.
I'm actually a big fan of OP and Arbitrum. And if I could just bring up DeFi Llama here, you'll see that the total value locked on all chains, you've got 55% in Ethereum, Tron, 5.7 billion. But if you look at Arbitrum, nearly 2 billion there. And then if you look at Optimism,
Oh, XO, I just need to quickly tell you. So the screen that we're sharing right now, because you've shared the application window just for the trading view, we need to open the DeFi Llama in
right,
that
right, right,
tab.
right.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. Apologies.
shit.
Apologies for that. That's my fault. That's my fault. I'll
Yeah,
hide your screen for a second. I'll hide it for a
it's
second,
fine. It's fine. Yeah.
and we'll go back to this. And just give me a shout when you want to when we
Yeah,
want to put
sure.
the screen back up.
All right,
Um,
cool.
but yeah, as XO was saying, Arbitrum I think is going to be big in the next cycle. We've got to remember that in the 2017 cycle we had coins like Stratis, coins like Chainlink, we had Lisk, Walton Chain, and all of these coins. They were really promising projects, especially at the time. It was, generational. Similarly, in 2021, we had Polkadot, we had Solana, we had AVAX. Now as we transition into this next cycle, we've got to ask ourselves, you know yeah, we can still make money on Solana, we can still make money on Aave, we can still make lots of money on AVAX and these tokens, Cosmos, Atom. But really and truly, we've got to ask ourselves now, what are the next layer ones going to be that are going to really rock the space and suck up all that liquidity? What's the next layer two going to be? We've had Matic. Matic has done really well. The partnerships that Matic has had, amazing. I don't doubt that Matic will be a player in the next cycle, but what's the next Matic? That's what I've in crypto ever since I've gotten into crypto. It's never about the token that's running. It's always about what is the next one. And even if we go back XO to 2017, when we were playing the lending tokens, right? It was never about the lending token that was currently running. We saw BitConnect and um, we saw what BitConnect did, all those billions of market cap that it took. We saw Regal coin come after, and then what we were
Yeah,
focused on was what is the next one, and that's how we found Hextra, that's how we found Devor. Similarly with SNX Synthetics, that's how we found other projects like Daffy and
yeah,
Shadows and
yeah,
etc etc. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So just now you were talking about Arbitrum. Would it be all right if I share your screen?
yeah. Absolutely,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
So I think Arbitrum is certainly one to watch out for, but not just Arbitrum itself. And this is where, look, I'll be honest with you guys. You can't be looking up to the people to hold your hand in this space. You have to take ownership of being responsible, of doing your own research. But it helps if you can collectively find a group of friends and make friends in the space where you all have a common drive, a common willingness to learn and share together and research together. Because you don't have to be full-time traders. Just show some ability to research and understand fundamentals and ecosystems and understand what's happening out in the space. That's where you're going to make your money. Because what you should be doing right now is not thinking about TraderXO shorts the market. I want to learn how to short the market. What you should be thinking about is it's time to do some research out there. Which projects should I start earmarking so that when or if shit hits the fan, it's going to come with a very good buying opportunity. So you've got Arbitrum, 2 billion, total value locked all chains, Arbitrum 2 billion, Optimism, nearly $1 billion. This will grow. This will take more market share as time grows. Okay. What you have to understand is not only is it about Arbitrum or Optimism, but which projects are launching on Arbitrum, which projects are launching on Optimism, who's backing them, how much money have they got, who's the team behind it, what problem are they looking to solve. So you need to have some ability to understand the problem they're trying to resolve, but also at the same time understand if buying the token or what price is a good price, understanding the token emission schedule, the vesting schedule, are there going to be any large unlocks? So there's many things to take into consideration, but ultimately it's all about fundamentals. And in a bull market, it's fundamentals what helps propel these projects. In a bear market, fundamentals don't mean shit. The only fundamental that is relevant is the token unlocks, because you want to find projects that are unlocking big time in a bear market, because that is what is going to send price significantly lower down. So I'll give you an example here. You can see this is just total value locked on all chains. If you're into parachains or if you're into Cosmos, click on the Cosmos ecosystem. Let's see what we get there. We've got Kronos, you've got Carver, you've got Osmosis. So again, you've got other projects within this ecosystem on Cosmos. And then you've got to look at, well, what's the new shiny shit coming out on Cosmos that could do well in the next 6 to 12 months? Start being active on Twitter. Use your time wisely. Start reading about Telegram on Coin Telegram or Coin whatever it's called, CoinDesk or Blockworks, whatever it is. Just follow the news. Understand what projects are coming out there. You've even got some of these Telegram groups that give you like latest information or which projects have raised funds. Make a note of them. Understand what they're about, and understand what problem they're looking to solve and when they're going to be launching. Jump into their Telegram group, look at their Twitter page, go on YouTube, just type in YouTube and type in this project name. Obviously, people are going to shill it. Here's the next 10x, 20x. Ignore that bullshit. Just learn and absorb what you can. Make some notes, okay? And then see what others are saying about that project. So start contributing with your own thoughts, your own research, tweet about it, why you think this is a good bullish case. Just be more active essentially over the next 6 months as to which projects you want to earmark heading into the next bull market cycle. But then the key thing is, now that you've done your fundamental research, you then have to understand at what point do you want to start buying into those projects, or if they're not listed, when are they going to get listed, and how can you possibly go about buying them at what you believe is a good price, relevant to their total market cap and fully diluted value.
100%. 100%.
So this is certainly one tool that I'd recommend anybody. I'm not going to give a tutorial overview, but there's plenty of tutorials online on YouTube that you can watch about DeFi Lab. I think this is one of the key fundamentals tools that I'll be using, that I have been using over the last few months to understand what's happening out there. So that's just a quick example of that, NJ.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. And ultimately, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying, what you're saying right now. And this is really golden. I didn't really expect the stream to have this much alpha, but every time you come on, you surprise us again and again and again. It's really good, man. Thank you very much on behalf of myself and the audience. What you're explaining to the audience here, if I'm not mistaken, is when somebody says follow the smart money, it's a very common phrase that you hear in crypto, but nobody ever really dives into how you follow the smart money. And I think you mentioned, I would say, a predominant part of that. A lot of the crypto projects I worked on, I know some of you guys might know me from 2021. A lot of those projects that I worked on, it was because I adopted that model that XO just spoke about. You've got to do your fundamental research. You've got to go on Twitter, see who's following them, see who's investing in them, see where you've seen those names before, write those down. I don't want to repeat everything that XO said, but once you start learning that, you start finding your sort of feet in the crypto space. You start figuring out where you sit in the food chain for crypto and how you can utilize your skill set to make as much money as you can. Somebody just says, Did you just fart, NJ? No, I didn't. But look, a big shout out to the community. We just hit 6,200 subs on the channel. Thank you, XO, for that. And thank you, the community, for that. We're almost at 200 likes as well on the show. If you don't mind, please take a second and smash a like. XO, if it's all right with you, would it be all right if we take a couple of questions from the audience? Just a couple.
Yeah, let's go for it, man.
Yeah, all right. So there's one guy here who's been asking over and over again. Usually I'd get upset, but I'm going to give him his break. He says, XO, do you still think, in capital letters, so just imagine I'm shouting, XO, do you still think we will get the chance to buy ETH for 3 figures?
Well, if you just look at the ETH chart, we are still in a big macro range. And if shit hits the fan,
would you mind if I bring up?
Yeah, absolutely, go for it. If you look at the ETH chart, we're just in one big macro range. Okay, this was the highs in June 2022. You've got the lows in July, August, right? You get the highs again in August, September, August 2022. We didn't quite come to the lows, right? Deviate the highs again. So really, we're just in this macro range bound accumulation like environment. And like I talked about, if you understood anything what I said earlier in the stream about macro accumulation takes time to play out, well, anything, I think there's still a probability that we could maybe later in the year, okay, whether it's from higher down, get one more revisit of these lows here. So could we see Ethereum trade three figures? I wouldn't rule it out. Let's just put it that way. Would I like to buy Ethereum at three figures? Absolutely. Am I interested in buying Ethereum here? Absolutely not. Okay. So I do think there's a possibility or a scenario where we will come somewhere close to this lower bound, if not lower down to $800, $900. I think that's certainly a case. Just as we see, right? If you look at price here, taking these highs, we have to clean up the highs. What's to say we can't come all the way back down? Okay. I know it might seem a little bit far fetched. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying, why can't it happen? Why must you rule it out? Why can't this come all the way back down here, take out these lows and these lows here, then get back inside? That is the ultimate buying opportunity. Tail side of accumulation, 1 year, 1.5 year range. If this happens in December, buying opportunity all day long, whichever way you look at it. That to me is going to be a fantastic buying opportunity. I think at that point, it's difficult not to become a buyer at these lows here.
That's a really, really good answer. So look, there you go, Dylan. There's your answer. Be happy. Be very, very happy. You would have got banned on another day. I've got a good question here, XO. I really like this question here from Ben. A lot more than the other question. He says, XO, for someone who isn't super familiar with trading on dexes but wants to capitalize during the bull run, what would you advise? I like this question a lot.
For someone who isn't super familiar with trading on dexes but wants to capitalize during the bull run, what would you advise? Take $50, start trading on dexes right now.
Yeah, it's a new chapter. It's a brand new chapter for you.
Just go out there. Your primary objective is not to make money. Your primary objective is to understand the tooling, the different dexes out there, the ones with the most volume. Why don't you perhaps go onto Twitter and typing a guide to trading dexes, or a guide to trading dexes, a guide to understanding on chain, a guide to do this, or how to trade on dexes? That's what I would be doing. Do some fundamental research on how you can use dexes, then do some research on YouTube, like how to use DeFi Llama, how to use on-chain metrics, understanding where money is flowing from project to project, maybe via on-chain. They're the type of things that I'd be looking at. Again, just immerse yourself in the space that you want to excel at, right? So you don't have to be a DeFi pro or a DeFi wizard. Just understand the basics and understand which tools or which dashboards or which sites out there can help strengthen your case that such when a bull market comes, you'll be very well positioned ahead of the curve. And again, there's some great accounts out there. I'm not somebody who talks about DeFi. I'm more of a trader, but again, the accounts that I do follow, they always drop brilliant tweets and brilliant information as to what to watch out for over the coming months. So it's about taking advantage of the community in the good that they share and just ignoring all the bullshit and the drama and the noise. Cut that shit out. That ain't going to make you money. Follow the right people with the right advice, or not advice, but kind of the right pointers and narratives, and you'll do well. Just ignore the noise. If you're serious about making money, then do that. If you want to shit post and have fun like I do, then that's up to you as well.
Yeah, 100%. Well said. Well, really well said. I think that was a good response. I think I'm just looking at all of these questions right now. To be honest, there's only one that really stands out to me for now. Would it be all right if we had a quick peek at CRV? Because I think you mentioned CRV in one of your tweets, and I think that's found its way to the stream. Do you have any thoughts at all on CRV? And maybe, number one, would you invest in it?
Probably not. Probably not, if I'm honest with you, because again, Curve, if it's not something that I've ever traded, and even though I think there was a hack on Curve yesterday, right? It's actually a very good place in the market. There's nothing that I would say GTFO of Curve. If you believe in the fundamentals and you think this can come all the way back to $7 up to the range highs, and by all means, that's entirely up to you. But I just think there's potentially better plays. It's at 60 cents. So to $6, you're looking for a 10x, even halfway up to here, 3, 4, 350, you're looking at a 5x. But it could take, like I said, it could take a year before we even get anywhere back up here, up to a year, I should say, if not longer, to get back up to, there's your mid range, there's your range highs, and here are your cyclical lows. This, right, honestly, in a nutshell, I'm going to explain something to you in 60 seconds. When I see this, right, this is where XO the trader comes in. I want to short this market all the way back down to these lows because this inefficiency will get filled in, right? This is what happens. This is me trading the market. I was shorting the market, shorting the bounces. This is what I would do. Now watch what I say carefully here. I'm a trader at this point. I'm not buying spot. I'm a trader. Now I finished trading this. I'm looking to become an investor. However, the key thing here is this or is this not the first test of the low? Is this really a macro accumulation structure? No, it's a trending market. Macro accumulation takes time to play out. It's a basing formation that takes many, many months to play out. Now, I'm not really a trader anymore. I'm just waiting patiently, 90% in cash, waiting to buy the cycle lows, the cyclical lows later down the line. Okay, that's what I'd be thinking. However, as a trader, yeah, there's trading opportunities within this, not on the 3-day chart or the daily chart, but on the 4 or the 1 hour chart, right? You can find that on any market. Let's run it forward. I wouldn't be shorting the market here. Market comes into resistance. Would I think of a long? Would I think of a short? Maybe, But again, do I really want to be shorting something that's down 80, 70, 80%? Not really. I'm happy to wait patiently, but I don't want to become an early investor and hold this for the next year. So let it play out. Here we are. I don't want to buy. I want to buy at the cycle lows. That's where I want to do my business. Let's just watch it play out and see what happens. And this is essentially what I've been waiting for since the highs of November 21, January 22. This is the first time this year, right, over the last month or two, that I'm really getting excited about buying these cyclical lows over the next several months. And it takes time. This is November 21. We're now into January 23, nearly 2 years later. Well, 1 year later, I should say. 1.5 years later at this point into June. That was a good buying opportunity. But from an accumulation perspective, I want to buy the tail side of accumulation, which I do believe we are getting closer to now over the next 3 to 6 months. I couldn't tell you exactly when, but you can get the gist. Now, if you look at this, right, what did I talk about? Accumulation takes time to play out. This has got the hallmarks of accumulation. Not to say that it can't go lower. If it does break down, comes back inside, well, guess what? You've got your clearing validation. This is where you can start thinking about, right, this is it. This is the rounding bottom, the accumulation phase, where we should see a move back up to 350 over the next 12, 18 months. As a positional player, not a trader, this is where I want to buy. Buy, send it to cold storage, log off. See you up there.
Yeah, well said. Well said. That is, I don't think you can ask for better, to be honest. When he asked for CRV, I thought you were just going to be like, yeah, I'm either buying it or I'm not. But that was such a good we should honestly,
it's
amazing.
it's like that across the board. I mean, just naming the. I mean, people talk about Link, and I've stated my reasoning for why I think Link could go lower down into $4, $5.
Oh,
but when I look at this again, there's nothing that excites me about Link because it's just kind of stopped in the middle of nowhere. For me, true capitulation, if it does happen, which I think there's a good chance it will, is down here. Give me that. And you know what, NG, I might even say, NG, I might just take a punt on Link here.
yeah, I think I'll be buying some Link. I speak to Petter about that all the time.
Yeah.
I'll be buying some Link.
Come down here, into here, back into that cycle low demand zone. $2, $3. Hopefully I get to sell it at $15, $18. There's your 5x. One trade.
Yeah. Even higher in my opinion. But I mean, that's for debate.
I feel sorry for anybody who's been trying to buy Link for the last year and a half. And they keep talking about it being bullish every week. I bet you if this happens, anybody bought this year, they're just going to puke. I think, fuck it, crypto's fucked. Me personally, thank you very much. I'll buy that off you.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. To be honest, TraderXO, there's only one other question here that I like, and then after that, I think it's fair to wrap it up from there. This is a decent question too. I just had it up here. Bear with me, right? It's to do with ZK Sync, and it's not anything too fundamental, but just here, he says, "EXO, what do you think about ZK Sync and all the projects being built on there?"
Yeah, I think it's. I think. Look, you got Zero Layer, you got ZK Sync. You know, I think ZK Snarks, ZK Proofs have a place. They'll have another narrative. They'll have another run. You know, we saw a glimpse of that earlier this year, and to some extent, some parts of last year. So there is a place. There is a place for that tech. There is a place for those narratives. Again, write down all the narratives that you can think of: NFTs, gaming, zero knowledge proofs, layer twos. I don't know what else is it. Bots, AI. You know, write down all the narratives and then find out all the projects that are coming under each one of those segments that are trending out there. So again, just following the right tools, the right platforms out there, knowing how to do your research, understanding which projects are likely or could do well in the next cycle, in the next bull market, and position for those accordingly. So it's difficult to rule out any narrative at this point. You're on mute, NJ.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. Apologies for that. It was a mistake. Everything that you've said is completely on point. I don't know about you, bro, but I'm really excited. You know, I'm getting
Yeah.
really excited.
I honestly, this is the first time in a very long time, and I say very long time because shorting this market has been an absolute fucking bore ache. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes me talking about shorting shitcoins, but that's just a reality, right? I've made a lot of money from it. I'm now saying to those people who follow me, just ease off shorting the markets, put more effort into researching, be patient, build some capital and cash, and then you can hopefully start looking for cyclical lows over the next several months. Where take this shitcoin for example, Matic 35, 30 cents. You can probably trade it back to 150. There's your 5x. That's kind of what I'd be thinking. Now, the way that I would do this is that I would buy a spot bag. I'm not saying I'm going to buy Matic, but I'm just giving an example. Ignore the ticker, but buy a spot bag, and then you can, on a separate account, have a trading account, and that's it. Let your spot bag do what it wants, and you can look to trade the market. You know, long into resistance, take profit. You get a pullback, buy the pullback, look for another long. So you want to start thinking about long in the market. I'm not going to be shorting the market much more any longer. I'm going to start thinking about spot when the market trends, just as it trended on the way down. I'm looking for the market to show me trend up on the way up to start longing this on a perps exchange whilst my spot bag is up nicely 2-3x. Once that's up 2-3x, I can leave that alone. Just be cautious about any downside risk, but in the process, long here to there, take profit, pull back, long, take profit, pull back, long, and so forth into this key resistance level. When that gets there on my spot bag, I can either sell it, take profit, or I can open up a short, hedge, or be directionally short and look to profit on the market, pull it back, having sold all my spot. That's kind of how I'm looking to play the market. Same on Bitcoin. I'm just going to wrap up on Bitcoin here, NJ. But
Of course.
if we get a pullback, and this is how exactly I'm going to be looking to play Bitcoin in the next bull market run. If we get let's just hypothetically assume this is a range low. Let's just assume that in 6 months' time, for whatever reason, shit hits the fan, Bitcoin trades here. Whether it's a deviation or not, I don't know. But if that happens, and this is our range highs, I'm not going to be looking to short this market because I think at that point you've got 1-2 lows here. That to me, in a 1.5 year time period, is a macro low, double bottom low. You're looking for price to come all the way back up into resistance. Once it gets up into this level here, then I'll think about, right, I'm going to hedge with a short, but I want to retain my spot position because if spot breaks down, I'm delta neutral because my short is covering my spot exposure. So I'm delta neutral, locking in the gains. Okay, I close my short here. Whatever money I've made from the short, I can flip it back into a long, ride it back up higher. And guess what? I've locked in the gain. I've profited on my short. Yet my P&L is static, but now I've taken a long here, not had any drawdown, looking for higher prices. That's the flexibility that I want to apply in the next bull market.
Absolutely, just Fantastic, bro. Honestly, man, look, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on today. And I know for a fact, based on the audience retention, that so many people were helped today and so many people learned something new today. Um, I guess the last question to ask you is the question I ask you every time we finish a stream. Just for the audience in the chat, are you going to come back on the NJ show?
I'll come back when you give me 5 low market caps around 10 million
Easy.
that are going to go to 100 million and give me some
Easy.
10x's in the
let
shitcoin space.
NJ handle that. For those of you who don't know, I run my own Telegram as well. Link is the first link in the description below. It is time to focus on altcoins now. It's not time to be running away with stupid targets, but it's definitely time to be focusing on altcoins now. With everything that TraderXO has given us today, we've got plenty of homework to go back and do. There's lots of practices that you can do, as TraderXO mentioned, with the researching and figuring out who follows who and what's um what projects are meeting certain narratives. You all have the ability to do it. So look, TraderXO, thank you very much for joining on. We'll see you again very, very soon. We'll try and bring UNSC on at the same time, even on the next one, if that's okay with you.
I think you should bring. BTC Charlie on as well. He's a good lad.
Oh, without a doubt, especially now we're talking about altcoins as well.
And NFTs.
Oh yeah, 100%. In the last bull run, I'm telling you, his threads hit me the hardest. Every single time he did a thread, it was just top tier. So we definitely need to get Charlie on. In fact, I'm going to reach out to Charlie today. That's a good one. I'm going to reach out to him today. But thank you anyway, XO. We'll see you soon. And for everybody in the chat, please do smash a like on the video if you haven't already. It does take a second to do and it's for free. Smash a subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get the channel going. As you know, there's a lot of altcoins that we're going to be discussing over the coming months and weeks. We need you guys to all be here for that. And we'll see you on the next episode very soon. Cheers, everyone. Take care and have a lovely, lovely, lovely evening.